What's going on, everybody? I'm your favorite Let's Cowboy, and joining with me today is my co-host Zero the Hero. How you doing today?
I'm back and I'm eating Cheez-Its.
Nice, that's nice. So I was really looking forward to talking about the Flash because it'd be really funny, but I didn't see it.
Good. I also didn't see it, and I refuse to see it. I will never ever see the movie.
Listen, I don't like. There's a part of me that doesn't want to watch it, but there's also like a huge part of me that wants to watch it, just so I don't have to like think of
Speculate.
or I don't have to think of only the fucking CGI zombies and think that the whole movie is shit because of
Mm,
those cameos.
I mean, I think the whole movie is shit because it like barely features any Flash characters. This is the word on the street. Um, that we'll go for. Do we care about spoilers for the Flash here?
I'm pretty sure whatever we talk about spoiler wise, everybody else already knows because it's been fucking hammered into people's brains all over Twitter.
All right, yeah. But yeah, like word on the street. I really should stop talking while I have food in my mouth.
That would be a good
Sorry.
thing.
I'm snacky. I'm sorry. uh, yeah. Word on the street is that the movie would have been a lot better if it featured Wally West and Jay Garrick in two very specific roles that were taken up by Batman character and another Ezra Miller.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's always
got it.
fun when the Flash movie that is centered around the Flash, allegedly centered around the Flash, is more concerned with making sure that they have Michael Keaton's Batman in there.
God,
And that's the deciding factor for what spurred them to make
yeah, I
a
remember seeing
Flash
that.
movie.
I
I
remember
keep
seeing that
going.
tweet. It's this. Michael Keaton was the defining moment for us to decide we're gonna make a Flash movie.
Mm-hmm. I want to share this story. I've shared it to, I think I've shared it to you, but I have not shared it with the masses. Our lovely three fans that
Yes.
watch our stuff. When I went to go see, this was not by my choice. I'll say this. When I went to go see The Little Mermaid with my family, because my mom guilted me into it. We were sitting in the previews and the Flash trailer drops, which funnily enough, it went across the Spiderverse trailer, then Flash, so it was like tonal whiplash of going from peak to just a whimper.
No. See, they're both multiverse movies.
Yeah, one of them's way better than the other, but and again, haven't seen the movie. I just know that Spider-Verse is better. And we're sitting there watching the trailer. My mom leans over to me because I'm the comic book guy that knows things. She goes, "Are they making another Batman movie?" I was like,
I
"You'd
remember you
think."
telling me that. Yeah.
Yeah.
God, it's like I don't understand. It's like every single trailer for the Flash shows more Batman and Supergirl than the Flash.
To be fair on that front, the amount of shit surrounding Ezra Miller, like, I don't think they actually could like market the movie around them. So, like,
But it's
it's
like,
kind of a shit
yeah, no,
sandwich.
it's well, honestly, this whole movie was a shit show to begin with, considering it's like this movie started
Again,
production when the CW Flash show started 9 years
guys,
ago.
we haven't seen the movie.
We haven't
We
seen the
just know
movie.
it's probably bad.
We just assume it's bad, and this is
Yeah.
going to age
This
like
is
spoiled milk.
normally where we've said before. Normally, I'm the optimism guy. This movie just killed. There's two things that killed my optimism a little bit. All right, it didn't kill my optimism. It just killed all interest. It was this movie when, they said that Michael Keaton was the thing, and then it was the revelation that the Secret Invasion opening credits were made by AI.
Oh dear God, I remember seeing that today, and oh, it's so bad. Like why like first it's going to be opening titles, and then writers, and then directors, and then there's going to be
Mm-hmm.
a fully like AI generated movie. Like there's
It's
too much
dude.
reanimation that isn't allowing artistic creativity. It's so
I saw
dumb.
I saw probably the like most banger response to to the fact that it was written by, or it was done by an AI, was someone underneath the first announcement of it was like, man, it's finally, opening credits to match their scripts. Marvel GPT is going crazy. I was like, no, but damn.
Damn. Okay, to be fair, Guardians 3 was amazing.
Oh, no, like, there's gems. It's just, it is a bit of a thing where it's like, there's a formula to Marvel movies now, or at least most of them.
Maybe
And, like,
because
most
people get
Marvel
upset
products.
otherwise.
Fuck them. Who cares? Do a new thing.
Exactly. Like,
God, people need to learn to do new things.
well,
but
I don't know. New things can always be a little weird. You have to know how to do new things right. Like, for example, the Kraven trailer came out like last week, and it's a strange one. It's a strange one. It looks okay, but it's like the premise is just so fucking weird for it.
The thing that's the weirdest part. So, first off, the positive. If there's one thing that any comic book movie can learn from Kraven, it's that for your posters, recreate iconic comic panel shots, because goddamn,
yes, that poster actually really looks really good.
That fucks. Like, that is so good. And I love it. And I want more comic, like, get this floating head crap out of my face. Give me comic artists and comic panels, like, working on these posters. Because they know, like, that's literally, like, cover artists, get comic cover artists to come in and make these posters.
Right.
Like, have them draw it out and then recreate it in live action if you want. Because I know there's a lot of really cool Marvel movie posters. There's one for Homecoming and like a couple for Age of Ultron that are like super cool and look awesome. But because they're not in live action, they don't have the same marketability or pull. People assume they're like it's an animated movie, and so they won't go out to see it. And I'm like, ugh.
But yeah, no, the Kraven trailer, it's like I don't understand it, because this is the very first introduction to a live action Kraven, and the main focus isn't even Kraven. It's his son. And to me, that baffles me.
So it technically is Kraven.
Right,
but,
no, I understand that, but it's
like, it is Sergey.
Okay, but
yeah,
I don't know.
It's just weird because he doesn't have a Russian accent.
That too, yeah.
And it's like, what do you like? It's like, Aaron, you're like banger casting for Kraven.
Yeah.
Why are you not doing the accent?
Yeah, it's like I don't really understand the whole tagline that was in the trailer, like, villains aren't born, they're made. When can you really like classify him as a villain? Like, it feels like he's doing this like as an anti-hero. Like, he feels like an anti-hero more than like a villain.
It's the weirdest thing. It's part of Sony's whole we're gonna make movies on the villains but not include Spider-Man thing, because what actually would be really interesting and probably would have been a way cooler direction is if in all of these villain movies where they're the main characters, they actually go up against Spider-Man as the antagonist. Like, we basically just witness a Spider-Man story, but from the villain's perspective.
Right.
And like that, I think that would have been a banger idea to be going through. But for some reason, they just don't want to put Spider-Man in any of these movies. And they're like, we're going to build up to the Sinister Six first for some reason. It's like, but why?
Yeah, I mean, remember Morbius? Remember
I don't,
that
actually.
movie? I
never saw it.
I watched 10 minutes. And let me tell you, that was the fastest 10 minutes of a movie I've ever fucking seen. It is so lightning fast. It's insane. But yeah, no, it's like Kraven. It looks interesting enough. Like okay, let me just say this. It looks like they give more of a shit about this than Morbius.
Yeah, and I'll say that is appreciated. The action being rated R. First off, the fact that this is rated R, but Venom 2: Let There Be Carnage wasn't. still will annoy me to this day because you have Carnage. Make it rated R. You can. Like, do it.
Literally the whole point behind Carnage.
He is a serial killer with the symbiote, and his name is Carnage, and there was like a car crash in the movie.
Dear God.
That was it. But at least, like, with the rated R, that means that Kraven the Hunter can kill people.
Right.
So, like, all right, I'm down. Like, fine, I guess. And that's really it. Like, the whole deal with the lion giving him powers, apparently.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's, like, going to be legit. Okay, he has powers now. Or if it's going to be more like some spiritual thing that he normally goes with. Like, he's normal in the comics. Kraven normally enhances himself via like rituals or herbs or like basically anything natural.
Right.
And he usually stays away from science stuff, but he will like dip his toes in occasionally. So I'm hoping the route they go for is he gets mauled by the lion, and then some tribe, because Kraven does have ties to Wakanda in the comics, and like being and going around with them. I hope that like he gets mauled, some tribe finds him and like awakens the animal spirit inside of him or something, and then he goes on his rampage. And like that's all I need.
Look,
like that's all I want to
happen. But this is the same company that made Morbius, so I mean it's like
that's the thing. It's so weird. We go from Spiderverse to Morbius.
Yeah, I don't
to Across the Spiderverse.
Sony is the most confusing fucking company. I don't know how to judge Sony as a company.
It's all right. Tinfoil hat. They're doing it on purpose. All right, they're doing it on purpose. They're making all of these weird decisions to just kind of like throw people off, so that when Spider-Verse or whatever like other movie down the line, that they're like, no, this is actually going to be good, and like this is the one. They're doing it on purpose, so there's like expectations just get lower and lower, so that when the next movie comes out and like the next Spider-Verse comes out, they're like, there's nobody's going, this is probably going to be bad or whatever. And then it comes out and it's amazing. And it's like, well, all right. And it just builds like a bigger thing. They're doing it on purpose so they can get that. And that's the only reason these live action villain movies exist.
This sounds like every single sketch of the Warp Zone fucking like staff meetings videos.
Look, there's not much to go off of, man. All right, I'm already struggling. Like, there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just suddenly bad. Although the only live action one that's going to be good is Madam Web for reasons. For very very specific Sydney Sweeney
reasons. Okay, I gotcha. But yeah, Kraven looks.
I am very interested in the plot of Madam Web. That is all.
I'll let you believe that. But anyways, all the controversy aside, I really don't like how much companies are relying on fucking on technology to do the work for them. And like it all started, I think, when they fucking reanimated Tarkin in Rogue One. And it's just been like a downhill from there.
It's like I don't understand it. I get worried every time. And it's you give an inch and people are taking a mile.
Yeah, but it's like now people are starting to notice. Like, it takes them so long to notice. Wait a minute, this is actually kind of shit. Because you go from Tarkin to Leia again.
Oh yeah, dude, Tarkin was the domino that started it. Even if you get permission from the family to use their likeness,
still doesn't make it okay.
Nah,
that's so ethically wrong for so many reasons. I should not have to tell you that you shouldn't reanimate a dead person.
It's just I feel like there's a bunch of stories written about this somewhere in across all of fiction about why we shouldn't be doing this. I feel like that's the case, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
God, the worst offender of this that I feel like has pushed people like across the edge is with the Flash and the cameos there.
Oh man,
God.
bringing back, resurrecting Christopher Reeve for this, resurrecting George Reeve for this. They didn't even cast like an actor to play who was supposedly Jay Garrick in that Flash.
Yeah, no, I saw that.
They're like, it's generic. It's supposed to be just generic Golden Age Flash, and I'm like, what the fuck, man?
It's literally Jay Garrick right there. I've seen the image.
You have like 5 different actors who could be brought on to play Jay Garrick. You have so many, like, you could cast any of the voice actors. You could cast the guy who literally played Jay Garrick in live action. But no.
No, but remember, Zero, Ezra Miller is the only person worthy enough of the Flash role.
Look, my best faith interpretation of that is Ezra Miller is the only person that could play DCEU Flash, the one that Snyder created, who wasn't even that great to begin with. That is what I'm hoping they're talking about, because I really want a new actor for Barry in the DCU.
I mean, they've also said that the bad CGI was intentional.
That I know.
Okay.
I'm trying to look on the bright side, man.
It's okay. We can look on the bright side because we're gonna talk about a good movie. Across the Spiderverse is fucking awesome. The pain is finally over. We had to get that out of the way first.
The dreams, the nightmares, they're finally over.
Yeah, the DCU's finally over. We can move on to good DC stuff. But first,
the DCEU is dead. Yeah. Long live the DCU.
But yeah, now it's time to actually talk about Spiderverse. So, like,
yes, all right. Before we get into this, how many times did you see it?
I've seen it twice.
Rookie. I've seen it 3 times.
Yeah, no, I'm a total.
And I'm looking for that 4th. I'm looking for that 4th time.
I want to see it a 3rd time, but it's like I got shit going on. It's like. I'd rather wait till it comes out on VOD. That way I can just watch it. I can just rewatch it like whenever the fuck I want.
Like, yeah,
I've seen it twice.
I would say, like, if you don't want to go back to the theater, just pirate it. But like, nah.
No. When it actually comes on available for purchase.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, if anybody hasn't seen this movie yet, go see it. It's the perfect time. They fixed the sound mixing.
Oh yeah, there was actually some.
There was such a huge
mixing.
problem, and it was better for me the second time, but it was so bad the first. That. Really?
Okay, dude. I have like a perpetual good luck charm for this, I guess. Even though I could, it's weird. I get like a little bit of FOMO for this, where it's like. Anytime something comes out and it's like, oh, this is like terrible. Like I had this with Jedi Survivor. Everyone was like, the performance was horrible and all this. Meanwhile, I'm just walking around like every place. I'm like, nah, this is pretty smooth. I got 60 frames. I got not really any glitches. I'm doing good. Like it's fine. And everyone else and their mother is like, no, the game is dying. I can't play it. I'm like, but it's like I wanted that so I could be like, because I just feel like. Whenever it comes to this stuff, I always come off as an apologist, but I'm like, no, this is my experience. I didn't have this. And like I didn't have that for Spiderverse either. Yeah, everyone talked about it.
That's very lucky of you because I've seen it both times. My second rewatch was a little better, but it was still a little hard for me to hear some things. The first time, oh my god, I couldn't hear Gwen, I couldn't hear Hobby, I could barely hear Miles sometimes. It was so fucking bad. But the movie itself is actually like good. Like sound mixing aside, the movie is actually really, really good. So just what are your like non-spoiler free, like your spoiler free thoughts of the movie?
I needed to change my pants after.
Yeah, I can't.
Actually, no. I needed to change my pants like 5 minutes into the movie. Like, that's how good it was.
Yeah,
man.
It's like you think that they wouldn't top Into Spider-Verse in terms of animation, but they did. They somehow actually made it look better than Into Spider-Verse.
And
That's
then
a
they just
huge
topped the movie. Like
accomplishment.
they just topped the movie. Like in general, they just topped the movie, and it's insane. And this is only a part 1.
I know. Oh my god! Like, see, that's the thing that's
Like,
got that. That's the thing I know pissed a lot of people off in my theater. Granted, it was like from the very beginning that it was revealed to be a part 1, so I'm surprised like a lot of people didn't know it was a part 1. But yeah, no, a lot of people like got upset over that, and to an extent, I
skill
can agree with
issue.
this.
Skill issue.
Like
I
to an
mean,
extent,
did you not see the like? Did you not see the opening, like the first trailer for Across the Spider-Verse that literally had it said part 1? Like that's
I
my thing. I've seen so many people getting mad about it. But I'm like, no, they made it clear like right at the beginning, and then they had a big thing. I was like, it's changed from Across the Spider-Verse part 1 to Across the Spider-Verse and Beyond the Spider-Verse.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah, that was a whole thing. But yeah, it's like I
yeah, did you guys like not see the news or something?
no, but to an extent, I can understand it because like as we've said before, slower paced stories are not for everybody, and I understand that. I
The
personally
thing
don't
that
give a shit.
I don't know if I'd call this slower paced. I just like because the pacing was still really good
It
in
was,
this
but
movie.
like the main conflict doesn't start until we're like already halfway through. And I think that's like where a lot of people get a little ticked off is because like
All
the
right.
most of the promotion, like most of what the movie was promoting happened like over halfway through the movie.
Well, I think that's perfectly fine, to be honest.
No, that's just fine
Like
for me, but I can get
that's
why some
the
people may be a little ticked off by it because it's almost like what every like ad was promoting. Which, by the way, if you still haven't seen the movie, just watch like the first 2 trailers and that's it. Like if you watch
yeah,
anything
like
else,
you
it will
get no
spoil the whole
spoilers.
movie.
It's crazy that you get like no spoilers in all of this promotion. They hid so much.
I would say they hit it like a little too little, honestly. Like I for the first 2 trailers, like it's fine, but when I actually like went back and watched the clips for my Spider-Verse video, like it was so crazy how much was actually revealed in all the TV spots and all the non-big trailers, basically.
Hmm. I'd have to rewatch to see, but I don't remember. Like, I remember going into the movie and being like, "Oh, well, this is a lot of new stuff." All right,
Yeah,
like
but
there's just so much I wasn't expecting, and like, all
right,
right,
right.
we could hit the here. Your thoughts for the movie,
I
spoiler
think
free.
I think that the movie is I here's the thing. I can't. It's hard for me to compare Across Spider-Verse to Into Spider-Verse because they're both like pretty perfect movies in my opinion.
I
like
feel like this is the way you've started this off. This is like an opinion that I need to go get like my gun for or something, like ready to cock it.
no, but both movies are amazing. I love both movies, and I think Across Spider-Verse did. I think Across the Spider-Verse did a lot of things better than Into Spider-Verse. There Yeah, no, I think that I don't want to say that this movie's better than Into Spider-Verse because I know it's only half the story. I can't accurately judge the whole thing when I've only been like shown half of it. You know what I mean?
I disagree because I think this movie still stands on its
Oh
own
no, it
really,
totally
really
does,
well.
but like there was a lot of build up for the second half of the movie. Like
But I think
honestly,
they delivered. I think they delivered though.
yeah, no, I get that, but I would say that if anything, like this is a very minor nitpick, but I kind of wish I saw Spot more. Like he served the
Oh,
story
absolutely.
well.
He's
He served the story well, but I feel like I would have seen him if I saw him in like one or two more scenes. It would have been like perfect.
dude, Spot, my beloved man. This movie took like basically a B-list villain from
Right.
Spider-Man, and was like, all right, you're gonna become one of the greatest villains on screen. Like everything about him, from design to story to voice, is just perfect. He's glorious. Jason Schwartzman, I love him so much. I love Schwartzman, and he's glorious in this role.
Yeah, he does a really, really amazing job. I honestly I feel like every voice actor gave it their all for this movie. Like, dude, Oscar Isaac, man, like
He
he knocked it
delivered.
out of the park with this one.
He delivered. God, there's so much good stuff. All right, addressing the elephant in the room before we get on this one. Ben Riley's voice. There's the streets have been going around. I'm a big Ben Riley fan. He's my favorite character. He was done perfectly fine in this movie. Anyone else out there who thinks otherwise, he was done perfectly fine. You're overreacting a little bit. It's the same kind of deal. It's the same kind of deal as Spider-Man Noir in the first one, where he's perfectly fine, and for what he is in the movie, for his role in the movie, he plays the bits very well. He has a lot of good comedic moments, and he's not played off as a joke. And it's the same in this movie with Ben, where he looks perfect. The voice, while I love Andy Samberg, I will say I think there was a little too much of, or not enough Jake Peralta in there, and a little bit too much of his normal tough guy voice that he tries to do for
Right.
jokes. I just wish there was a bit more Peralta in it. For anyone who hasn't seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine, just go watch a couple clips of Andy Samberg in there, and it's like that's pretty much the energy for Ben. But it does fit what they're doing with him, and he is like the 90s guy. He is the 90s guy, and it's really funny because they play on a lot of, at least they're very faithful to those 90s comics where the internal monologue and narration was like ridiculous at times.
Yeah,
And they just
I
like
loved it.
narrate every little thing they're doing, and Ben does that, and I'm like, I love him. My glorious himbo. Get him in there.
Yeah, but personally I think that there are people who are overreacting to a lot of things about this movie. Like
Oh,
dude,
you mean the whole? This is saying that Miles is the best Spider-Man and everyone else is bad.
it's not even like that. It's more so the fact of just how like dumb people can be. You know, it's like
The canon events, bro. Oh well, those memes are funny though.
yeah, those memes are funny, but it's more so the fact that of just how like not much of an actual criticism it is of the movie because there's so many like nitpicks about fucking Jessica Drew being pregnant or even God, I remember that Geeks and
It's a
Gamers video.
spider baby. It's fine. It web swings on it like it's been web swinging since it was in the womb. Okay, it's fine.
God, I still remember that one video I watched where they complained that there's too many fat spider people.
Bruh, they got no taste, man.
It's
I
like
mean, it does. It's not like it's not like being bit by the spider immediately changes your body type.
exactly. It
It,
doesn't.
like
It's
it
not
just
like the
makes you
CW
strong.
Flash. It's not like CW Flash where lightning gives you abs. Like being bit by a spider doesn't give you abs.
Like even in the movie too. Paviter, who, oh my god, depression-free Spider-Man, I love you
I love Publicity
so much.
Parker.
He literally wakes up and he's like, I skipped the workout because I don't want to get too big. And he's like, yeah, all right, makes sense. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Big spider people. I mean, anyone who I'm sorry, the amount of just absolutely thick spider women. Jesus Christ.
yeah. Fucking
Y'all think
Spider
Pixar
Woman Russia.
moms,
There was a
bro?
fucking Russia Spider Woman.
Y'all think Pixar moms got it crazy? Nah.
Yeah, it's like it's also the fact that I think this movie is just really funny. Like I don't know if it's funnier than the first, But this has really, really good jokes, like, and it's perfectly put in the movie at the perfect times.
Dude, I've not laughed this hard watching like Spider-Man and villain banter, and like since Spectacular Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's
And
like
it's
Miles and
like
Spot. Oof, they have
that
such a great
first
dynamic.
that first fight with the two of them. It's like you you're texting while we're fighting. It's like it's a little cocky and everything. Like they're just going back and forth on it. It's so good. Like you left in the middle of our fight. It was selfish and rude and also a little cocky. It's like I love him so much.
I will say, like, the best part about this movie is just how much we get of just Miles living his life in Brooklyn. Like, he is just being Spider-Man in Brooklyn for like a good like third or a little farther than that of the movie, and it is there just so we can build up to the actual like main conflict. Like, it's paralleling a lot of things that happens with Miles' life as being Spider-Man with when he actually goes and meets Miguel, and that I love it so much.
It's so good, man. I love it so much. All right, if we're gonna do this fully in the spoilers now.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen the movie, go watch it now. What are you doing with your life? 3, 2, 1, spoilers.
All right. Holy shit. I was not expecting this movie to start off with all the Gwen stuff and like going that hard.
Dude, that Gwen opening, it got me going, man. Like, it was so beautifully animated. Like, I loved Gwen's universe and how it all looked.
The watercolors with the emotions and all that. Like,
dude, it takes a singular scene of just two people having a conversation and makes it look so fucking beautiful.
I have no words. That's the thing. I have no words. It was that beautiful.
Yeah, it's like just seeing the argument with her dad after she takes off the mask, like it just the way the colors like keep changing every time it cuts to Gwen.
Like his is, and like for him, like it's black and white. He's in the black. There's the white stuff. Like, yeah, God, it's so good.
Again, like I didn't expect the movie to top Into Spider-Verse in terms of animation, but it did it within the first 5 minutes, and it kept continuing to do it. Dude, the score, the fucking music. They went. Daniel Pemberton somehow topped himself.
God, dude, so much. That's so good. Like, there's so much in this movie that's like, I want more.
Yeah, I just
want more of it all. And that opening, like, I love that opening fight so much. As they're going through, because they play on the original, like, okay, let's do this one last time. Throughout, we finally get Miles. Actually, later we get Miles's whole "let's do this one last time."
Yeah, he gets like an actual proper opening.
Because they do kind of a twist on it, and like Gwen's opening monologue too, just basically tells you what's gonna happen in the whole movie.
Yeah, like I noticed that on my second viewing where it basically like took some of the shots that happen later in the movie and put it like it's basically like what happens, yeah, and it's so well done because it
gave me Shaun of the Dead vibes with how they do it, because that movie also does we'll go here, we'll do this, and then we'll pop back to at the end of the night for a pint at the pub, and it's like they literally go to every single one of the places that they mention and do all of those things in that scene, and they end up back at the pub at the end. It's like, it's done so well.
Yeah,
and it's done so well here too.
I know, and this is where like a lot of people will say like Gwen is the main character when that's kind of unfair to Miles. Like
it's two protagonists. Like that's really
like, you can have a co-lead. You can have a co-lead. He's a great co-lead in this.
Like, God, it's always been Spider-Man across. Like, it's not even been Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. It was Across the Spider-Verse was what it was put in. So it's not even like, even so, these movies have always been advertised as an ensemble with at least one other character sharing the spotlight in there. In the first one, it was Peter B and Miles, and now it's Miles and Gwen. I was like, yes.
Yeah, I love it,
Absolutely.
and I think that Miles just has an overall like serviceable character like throughout the whole movie, and honestly, I feel like the people who says that Miles doesn't like have a proper conclusion is forgetting that whole scene at the end where he tells Rio that he's Spider-Man.
Yeah, that even if it's not like, by the way, that twist got me.
Yeah, that
Like I legitimately, when I was in the theater, my dad picked up on it first because he saw it. He's like, her eyes are a different color. I was like, what?
what?
I was like, it's probably just the lighting or whatever. And he was like, okay. And then we keep going. He's like, yeah, see, I told you, her eyes were a different color. And it's like, all right, damn. Like, all right, blah.
Hold on,
So
I
like
didn't
that
even
twist
notice
got me.
that. Hold on a
Yeah,
minute.
yeah, dude, I didn't like. It's crazy, and so like that hit, and then fucking that whole moment, even if it's not his universe's mom, it's still the conclusion for his character
Yeah,
arc.
exactly. Like this is exactly like in this is a weird comparison, but this is exactly like in Honor Among Thieves when fucking when Edgin like opens up
Oh
to
yeah, he opens
his
up to his
daughter,
daughter.
but it wasn't his daughter, but like it still happened. Like it's still a serviceable conclusion to his arc in the movie.
Like it shows you that okay, they're at this point. So now later, when it comes down to when they actually meet the real person, they're gonna be able to do it, no problem, because they did it
Right.
there.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna get that payoff, and it's gonna be even nicer.
Yeah, exactly. And
Dude, they let Miguel say shock. I'm so happy.
I know I heard that
He
too.
said shock, going, yeah, let's go. There's
Yeah.
so many moments in this movie that's literally let's go. Like I was in there, and all right,
I also
we have to
like
get through
how
this.
unafraid they are to curse in this movie because they say
Oh
damn a
yeah,
lot
dude.
of times, and then you fucking
Thank
hear
the Lord.
Miguel cursing in Spanish.
Thank the Lord, man. We need more cursing. Hey,
Yeah,
Let
fuck them
let
kids.
dude, let Miles say fuck. That's all I want. I mean, that's it. That's all I want. But I wasn't able to get it in the MCU movies. They kept cutting off everybody from saying fuck, and I don't like it. Just let them say it.
Again, we still got it in Guardians 3, but that's because it's James Gunn.
Dude, that oh god, I love that F bomb so much. But like oh god, we gotta talk about the cameos as well in this because
Oh my
damn,
god,
like,
yeah,
really well done. And also my heart hurts because
dude. Is
Spectacular
Oh
Spider-Man
my god,
was there, and he lost
I
Church. See
couldn't
now?
do it, and
Ah,
we're more than likely never gonna see it like actually happen. That's the
dude,
saddest
like,
part. Like that is the only time we'll probably ever see that. Like what
and
kind of
he's voiced by
continuation?
Josh Keaton too.
God,
They got him back. This man didn't even. Not only did he get one voice line already, but he got two. All right, he got two lines, and I'm
yeah,
like, yes,
two
I
lines.
know it
All
seems
we
like it's
need.
tiny, but
That's
it was the
all we
best.
need. That's all we need. It's all we needed, and it's like
Nah, now I need more. Give me more of him in the sequel. I don't care.
probably not. I don't know.
Nah,
We'll see.
I hope. I'm hoping. But yeah, there's a bunch of cameos in this movie and a bunch of like really well done fan service. And like it's insane how much how much they jammed into this bag that just works.
Yeah, like
Like
it all feels like intentional in a sense. Like, bro, can you imagine like the relationship Spider-Man Canada and the plushie Spider-Man would have? I've seen
dude,
clips of
could
them like
you
zoomed in, and this would be like best buds.
could you imagine if we saw a generated Stan Lee in the movie?
Oh
Man,
dear God.
I wonder what kind of movie would resurrect
Yeah, who
dead
would ever do that?
actors
Like, what
for that.
superhero movie would ever
Man,
resurrect the dead
crazy.
just for
That's
clout?
crazy.
It's almost like this movie is intentionally putting in cameos for a reason instead of just hey look at this clap.
But yeah, there's a lot of really cool ones. They even all right, but like the props first off, it's already been done. Like Who Framed Roger Rabbit did this all the way back and all the way back when that came out of meshing animated characters with live action. But this is the first instance we've seen of where a mostly animated movie or a 99% animated movie has a live action actor / actors
Right.
in there, because we got to see Donald Glover actually in a Prowler suit.
God, that
in
was
this
such a
movie.
funny ass joke. Like that, it was funny considering the fact that Donald Glover is actually like canonical into
inspiration.
Spider-Verse. Like it was canonical into Spider-Verse because literally, Aaron was watching the fucking old ass Spider-Man thing with Donald Glover in it. So it's
God,
canon.
I love the community. Like the best part too is like Miles. It's so cool to see it because Miles was inspired by, like, his creation was inspired by Donald Glover back in the Amazing Spider-Man days when people were trying to campaign for Donald Glover to be Peter Parker instead of Andrew Garfield. Well, like not instead of Andrew Garfield. The casting hadn't been announced, but it like that was the fan campaign at the time, and that's when that's the same time that Miles was introduced, and so it's really cool to see that full circle. And also, it's even funnier for me because Spider-Punk was the one that caught Aaron Davis Prowler, and it feels good because Hobie is the original Prowler, and this man's been getting done dirty, and he caught his imposter.
That's
he got the imposter, and I love it.
Yeah, all the cameos, like are done with like actual care, and none of it really feels like it's there just to get like an audience reaction. Like
there's the PS4, or there's a couple versions of like an actual animated PS4 suit. Then there's a couple characters from different comics around. There's a bunch. Then there's like the actual Insomniac Spider-Man, like animated in the same style as the game.
Yeah,
in there,
dude, they
there's
got
Spider-Man
the fucking
Unlimited.
Spider-Man popsicle.
Dude, even the popsicle was gunning for Miles's ass. I ain't gonna lie, that man was dedicated. And there was Bagman. Although he was changed up because they couldn't use the Fantastic Four imagery.
Yeah, I would assume that.
But I also love the headcanon that version of Spider-Man just literally has like a suit and then a bag that he put over his head. It's like, oh yeah, this is enough. And like, there's that. There was, Spider-Man Unlimited was there. They had the original 60s Spider-Man, like the original animated 60s Spider-Man in there. It's glorious,
God,
man.
I can't wait to go and watch this movie in 0.25x speed just so I can find every single Spider-Man in that movie. Because
there's a shot actually.
More.
There's a shot where Spectacular on the train when they all chase Miles up there. Spectacular's holding Spider-Cat.
Yeah, I saw that.
My boy.
No, but like that's like there's still going to be more because like even Lord Miller confirmed that there's only like 95 named Spider people, and that's not everything we're going to see in Beyond the Spider-Verse. And they said it exactly like, look, we've had all the Spider people that you can imagine, but you haven't seen the Spider people we can imagine.
I really hope that they just kind of like pull around and it's like, hey, Spider Sonas, artist, give us your Spider Sonas, and we'll put it in the movie.
That would be really nice. I don't know if it's going to that extent, but it would be really, really nice.
It would be so cool. Like seeing that's the kind of like love that this series has for the fans. And we're gonna get into this right now because this is spoilers as well. We're gonna get into just how much this movie both loves and respects the fans and the source, because the canon events, all right? The canon events, this movie is incredibly meta, and it's very well executed meta, where they take this idea of what Spider-Man in the eyes of a lot of fans, what Spider-Man should be. There's a lot of fans that are very stuck in there needs to be the Uncle Ben moment, there needs to be the Captain Stacy moment, there needs to be the Gwen Stacy moment, there needs to be X, Y, and Z for this character to be Spider-Man.
Right.
When in reality, that's the specific moments have never been as important, because when you hit those specific moments, or you have some moments that are similar, there's also another subsect of fans that come in screaming that, oh, this character is just ripping off of Peter because they have this moment now and they're not doing anything original in there. And it's it's very much a rock and a hard place. But what this movie does is basically tackle this in a really interesting way, where they came up with these moments called canon moments. So, for background and context in the movie, canon moments are things across the multiverse that Miguel, Spider-Man 2099, Miguel O'Hara, has found. And so what he describes them are moments in the story of all the spider people in the multiverse that have happened, and they tie the universe and everything together in a web of life and destiny, which is a nice nod to the comics and the web of destiny and life.
Yeah.
And so Miguel has used an algorithm to determine a lot of these moments across the multiverse. And it makes sense because, across the multiverse, it makes sense that there will be moments and across an infinite stretch of universes where everyone has their own version of Uncle Ben. Everyone has their own version of a Captain Stacy death. And there's going to be that case where it does happen. And so Miguel theorizes, basically, after he goes to another universe where he discovered that a version of himself had died and has a family. So Miguel went to that universe and pretended to be the version of him that died. And for a bit, we don't know the exact time frame. For a bit, Miguel was happy there. He lived with his daughter on that universe as himself. It was fun. And then all of a sudden, the universe just died.
Yeah.
Like, it just killed itself. Everyone that was native to that universe died, and the spider people couldn't save it. Miguel's daughter died in his arms, and so he came back and theorized the canon events. And so that is the main crux of going through, and what the big deal that Miles is up against. The Spider Society, or Spider Club, as I call it, is basically led by Miguel, who, after the events of Into the Spider-Verse, is now cleaning up a whole bunch of anomalies, which are basically just anyone that's gotten displaced from their original universe and sent to a different one. And that's really the big deal. And so Miguel is doing cleanup on all of that. We get introduced to him through Gwen's opening section, where they fight a Renaissance Vulture, who, by the way, is awesome. I love Renaissance Vulture. And so what happens in that whole fight, a big moment happens. Gwen reveals herself to her dad and basically just is terrified of what's going to happen.
God,
and
I
Miguel,
really loved just the way Gwen said, "Are you really like that afraid of me?" That line, oh God.
And so Miguel brings her back to the club, and then we kick off into the rest of the movie, and it's very interesting because we don't know what's going on just yet. And so when she meets back up with Miles, who has been trying to find ways to reach back out to everybody from the first movie, like, it's heartbreaking because this guy is, like, this talented artist is giving up on all of that just to pursue a career he doesn't even want the career. He just wants to be able to make anything so he could go see his friends,
right?
That he misses.
It's so much sadder when you realize that Miles believes that he is utterly alone in his own universe, so he sacrifices so much of his own life just so he can actually be around people that accepts him. And oh my God, it hurts so much more going in later in the movie.
Well, and it's also a very interesting parallel to Miguel as well, because Miguel also sees himself as the only one keeping things together after the Collider kind of wrecked shop across the multiverse, which, And so he views himself as the only person keeping everything together.
Right.
And it's a nice parallel that Miguel and Miles could have common ground on. But there's just one big thing that kind of holds that back. And it's when they explain the canon events. Miguel basically explains that when a canon event is disrupted, it will cause the deterioration of a universe. Or at least if enough canon events get disrupted across enough moments, then it could be one or the other. It could be one canon event that gets disrupted, or it could be another, or it could be multiple. And that'll cause the downfall of the universe.
Right.
And that's what they explain to Miles in there, and kind of why he wasn't allowed in the club, as it gets revealed that Gwen has had the ability to travel to his dimension for 6 months. Or no, not 6 months. For 6 months.
It was around 6 months, yeah.
She's had the ability to come to his universe for 6 months, and she hasn't.
Right.
And that gets revealed to be because Miles's dad is becoming police captain, and what happens to police captains across the multiverse that are close to Spider-Man is they die.
Yeah.
And that becomes a canon event. But it's very important to note that these canon events are determined by an algorithm. They're not determined by any, there's no accurate gauge for it. It's literally just, these are common events that happen across the multiverse, and Miguel O'Hara, in true Spider-Man fashion, to be honest, takes the guilt of what he did, where he believes that going in and replacing his dead version of himself in another universe, he believes that disrupted a canon event, and that caused the downfall. Or actually, I don't know if he believes that it was the canon event. He just believes that it caused the downfall of the world, and he's trying to rationalize it in any way he can, because the Spider Club is built up of a bunch of people that have way too much unresolved trauma and a mountain load that's bigger than the sun.
Yeah,
of guilt
I remember a
on
lot
their
of people were
shoulders.
complaining about how Spectacular would have never done this, or the Spider-Man would have never sided with Miguel. When really, I think he handpicked these people at very specific times, just
It's
so that
that.
they would be so vulnerable that they would go along with them.
Well, it's that, and it's also when you have a bunch of people like this who, bunch of unresolved trauma, a bunch of guilt from all of these things that have happened to them in their life, and suddenly someone comes along with an answer that says basically, hey, all of this suffering that you went through, it wasn't for nothing. This suffering is what's keeping everything and everyone in the universe alive, and that's
Right.
because of your sacrifice as a hero.
Yeah,
And this is part of it. And for all those people that is an incredible just weight lifted off of your shoulders, where it's this wasn't my fault. These people never died because of me. It wasn't my fault that these people died.
Right, and it's both what makes Miguel such a amazing antagonist, because he's being sympathetic, but it's also just very damaging, and it also ties in very well with the meta commentary of the idea of Spider-Man always having to be a sacrifice, because in this movie
has
it literally
to be
is
miserable.
Yeah, because it literally is what is supposedly tying the universe, keeping the universe together, and it's such a
Because
fucking
the other
amazing concept.
interesting thing that comes from this too is the Spider-Men that we see, or the Spider people that we see in all of the movies, the ones that do the best are the ones that have their lives figured out, and are the ones that are not miserable all the time. I mean, you look back at in the first one with blonde Peter Parker from Miles's universe, that guy had pretty much his life all figured out, and he was doing great. The only reason he really died was because of the collider, which he would have died anyway.
Right.
And that Miguel saying that the reason he died is because Miles is bull, because that explosion would have happened anyway.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, no, a lot of Miguel's points end up being a lot of bullshit, but I feel like it's intentional. Like it's
and it's
supposed to
all
not make
understandable.
sense.
Like it's all understandable bullshit,
Yeah, yeah, like you can
but the
understand where
canon
it's coming from.
events, yeah, like the canon events are not supposed to make sense when you look at them because they're not actually a thing. Like the canon that makes the universe all stick together, that's a bunch of bullshit. It's just Miguel trying to figure out a way to rationalize and like deal with his guilt of, okay, no, this wasn't entirely my fault. Like this was something that was out of my hands. I'm like trying desperately to find a solution, and like why did this happen the way it did? And then you start to notice all of these events across it, and you'll be like, oh, wait, no, maybe hold up. There has to be some grand design to all
Yeah,
this. And like that's the interesting part. And like it the Spider-Men that are the ones that like, oh god, I had a hiccup, sorry. The Spider-Man that are the ones that are like the happiest and like most effective are the ones that have the healthiest balance for that. Like Miles is the one that like pretty much has his trauma resolved. Peter B, once he got like he's basically, I have my baby, I am extremely happy now, my life is all together.
yeah,
And even he is seeing like the cracks in it. The only reason Peter B like actually believes and goes along with any of it is just because he was there, and he doesn't have a better explanation
right,
until
right.
Miles shows up and like starts talking, because he makes sense. Like there's so much that's really good.
Yeah,
And the movie isn't saying in these meta moments, like the movie's not saying that these Spider-Men that hold to what Miguel is holding are the bad ones.
no,
Like
definitely not.
that's not what the movie's saying at all. And if you think that, take a breath, all right, and
It's
think.
really just trying to tell you that these spider people are hurting and want an answer so that they don't blame themselves. And
Yeah,
that's especially
because
true
like
with Miguel too, when he later reveals to Miles that he's the original anomaly and how he's never supposed to be Spider-Man. And
mhm,
not only is that whole sequence is fucking masterful, but it's also really just, I think that's a moment when you start to realize that Miguel,
Miguel's lost
yeah,
it a
he
little bit.
he's
Like
projecting a lot of his anger onto Miles because he sees Miles, who was effectively broken what his idea
he's
is of the Spider-Verse, and gets upset
Well, he's cracked the
because
code.
yeah,
He's also
yeah.
cracked the code on being Spider-Man. Bro is happy. Like,
I know, but it's also the thing that's like he he broke a canon event and his universe collapsed, whereas Miles has basically destroyed the concept of the Spider-Verse that Miguel has created and thinks that why am I the one that's suffering while you get to live the happy life?
yeah. Well, and I'll say too, Miguel broke a canon event in quotes, because if it's a canon event that you die, like, how are you alive? And how is your universe still standing?
Yeah,
Like,
there's a lot
so yeah,
of there's a
it's a
lot of
lot of
threads, yeah.
unresolved. Like, it's a lot of just unresolved trauma, and while it's a funny joke in the movie, in the chase sequence, the spider therapist, is kind of really telling of what the environment in the club is really like, because you have this Spider-Man who's like, yeah, my uncle just died, like, and is bawling, and then you have the therapist who's just sitting there, that you immediately get the sense from this guy that he's heard all of the sob stories, he's heard it all, and he's just so done. And he's like, let me guess, he died. And that's like, it's a funny joke, but it's so telling of what everything is like over there, and that
Right.
no one is
And
actually processing any of this.
yeah, and it's also with Hobby and him actually joining the Spider Society.
Oh, dude, Hobie, fucking king.
Yeah, dude, he's so cool, but it's like he has such little screen time, but he is so fucking essential to that core theme of the movie where he gives like genuinely good advice to Miles about being Spider-Man. It's like you gotta be your own boss, make your own rules. You got a
Yeah,
nice thing going on.
I really like what I like is that Hobie kind of exemplifies the like kind of I'll say he's kind of the perfect Spider-Man in this sense of he gets that he both understands that yeah, part of the perks is being your own guy and the individuality and like not being tied to a team or like an association, but he also gets that yeah, it's still useful and that I shouldn't, like I'm still going to be with my homies and my team and team up to save people because
Right.
the thing I love the most actually in this movie is when the spider people are at their best working together when they're not fighting each other and actually trying to save people.
Right. Right.
Like when they're trying to fight each other, when they all chase after Miles, it's a whole bunch of one-man shows trying to get the one guy, and they're all jumping over each other to get him. And then when you go in to actually like save people, yeah, they all have the same goal to get there, and no one's trying to get one person. Everyone's trying to save everybody, and it works so well. And oh god, I love Hobie so much. This
Yeah.
man,
I also like how he wanted to really test Miles and like try and challenge like what his views are on just the whole concept of there being a spider society and everything. Because I mean, he even like goes to Miles like you're not going to be ready for everybody else. Like,
well, and even like when Miles throws it back at him, he's like, "Well, what are you doing here?" Then he's like, "I'm just looking out for my drummer." And like, yeah, he's just there to watch out for Gwen.
right, and that's what makes Hobby so great is that he's only there just to look after people
It's
instead of trying to justify his own pain. Because I know there's going to be a lot more Hobby in Beyond the Spider-Verse because we still don't really have too much of like how Hobby got towards the Spider Society and what his like canon event was. Because I saw this like
I
little theory that when he was wearing like the blue laces and that symbolized that he like killed a cop. I don't
mhm.
know if that's gonna be true
In
or
the
not.
punk society,
Right.
I hope it wasn't that universe as Gwen or Captain Stacy because man, that would be an awkward conversation.
Oh dear
But
God.
the interesting thing about that too is like when it comes up in the spider intervention in there that they're having with Miles, where they're trying to explain it all, and Miles is like, "That all happened to you?" And Hobie is the first one to just go, "Yeah, so." Like he's the only one in there that isn't letting that drive him. He's like, yeah, it happened, and yeah, it sticks, but I'm still being Spider-Man, being the best
Right.
I could be. Like,
God, like
it's so good.
it really worried me from the start when it was described as a love triangle.
Oh god, yeah. Never listen to what Amy Pascal says on that.
It's
Like
okay. They don't believe in
that was bait.
consistency.
That's true. That's true. Oh, I love him. I
Yeah,
love
because
him so.
it's just such a
This
it's such
guy's
a
giving me
fun
a headache.
relationship, and Hobby is just such a real one. Honestly, like there, I know there's like a couple people that say he's like an asshole. I'm like, but when is he like a
Where
legitimate dick?
he's propping up Miles all the time.
I
He's so
know.
helpful.
I know he literally like raises Miles' arms up when he saves fucking Captain Singh, and is like, yeah, root for this guy. Fucking
I love
awesome.
I love him. And all right, look, I want more of I think my personal favorite dimension honestly was Mumbattan.
Dude,
God damn, it
Mubatan.
was like that
Ooh,
time in
I don't
Mumbattan
know.
was so good.
I love Mubatan, but I really still love Gwen's universe.
I love it too. I think it's the prettiest in the movie. I want to be around. I want to be around Pavitra more because
Pavit,
Pav is so
yeah,
good. I
Pavitri
love
is so amazing.
him. I that whole sequence too, where like the spot. Let's like for the spot too. Did the opposite approach here, where normally like the protagonist starts off, bumbling and like kind of like he has to train or like get better across the movie, or he like slowly gets better. They did this with the spot and the villain, and it makes him so much more terrifying in this version. Like
hmm
there are a lot of there's a lot of ways to make a villain like terrifying, and they're all very effective. I think this just might be my personal favorite because it takes a guy that's like, he's just a villain of the week. He's just a jobber,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
turns him into the arch enemy that is
Dude.
extremely terrifying. Like he's funny, and that's still like that's just who he is. He's
Yeah,
just funny and goofy, but terrifying.
yeah, but like I said, I still wish we saw more of him because I remember hearing about a deleted scene from Across Spider-Verse where he goes into like a
Oh, it was
villain
supposed to
bar.
be a post. I think it was supposed to be a post-credit
No, no,
scene.
no. So it was supposed to be like Spot going to a villain bar like at the beginning after his fight with Miles,
Oh,
and
okay.
then he gets laughed at for what he is, and then in the post-credit scene he comes and destroys that same bar.
Your suit's too tight in the back.
Yeah, no, that's like, dude. If I had that scene, it would have been fine. I understand why they didn't do it because it might have felt a little jarring, but still, like Spot is so fucking cool, man. Like he turns into he has such like a very stupid motivation. Like you hit me with a bagel.
It's so like
You
he
hit me
just
with a
gets treated
bagel.
like a joke. Like it's the perfect comic book motivation where it's like it's petty shit that gets brought up even because he's pissed off that he that Spider-Man he created Spider-Man and gave him his powers. Then Spider-Man returned the favor and turned him where Spider-Man got turned into a hero that everyone loves. He got turned into like a weirdo with white flabby skin that looks like the inside of a sketch
Spider-Man, why'd you create
outline.
that guy?
Yeah, oh god, I love it. And like the bagel is just like icing on the cake, and it's just a guy that's like, you treated me like shit. And it's the perfect origin story for a Spider-Man villain because so many of his villains only hate him because he's annoying to them.
Right.
Like he's just kind of a dick and annoying. Like he'll just piss them off with his jokes and they're like, all right, fine, I'm gonna kill you. Like you stopped me and you pissed me off. I'm going to kill you now.
Yeah, I also just still really love that parallel to Miles' painting in the first movie with the Great Expectation because in a
Oh my
sense
god.
he is feeling that he wants to become that villain to actually step up to Spider-Man, and so he's feeling that expectation within himself, whereas Miles is also feeling that same expectation, that same like weight of expectations from like a whole multiverse just like him because he's not following what he's supposed to be.
I
Uh,
love it so much. I love it. And that the fight too is so like all of his fights. This is why you do him in animation and you do superhero
yes.
stuff in animation because the potential is limitless with this. You don't have to worry about getting the stunt to look right with the wire. You don't have to worry about it with a physical side or like, oh, is it gonna be like in live action, is this gonna work or whatever? No, you could like I could watch an animation in Spider-Verse. I would love if they showed up with the Wall as the main villain. They'd be able to make the Wall like threatening, and this dude is literally just wearing a brick wall as his costume, and that's
Yeah.
it. And like that's the power of animation is you could take this stuff and that is just absolutely outlandish and make it work so well.
Listen, animations will inspire that 14-year-old kid to learn Blender, and he got paid to work on
Dude,
Across the Spider-Verse.
that 14-year-old that did the Lego section of the movie is just insane,
Yeah, no,
man.
I didn't like it wasn't like I knew he wasn't supposed to talk about it until like after the movie releases, but like I saw like his like fan made trailer. I'm like, hold on a minute.
This is too good. Like
That's
this
supposed to be like a Lego universe in this movie. Huh.
I'm like this motherfucker too good. I'm
Uh,
sorry. Like, so
This kid learned it all through fucking YouTube videos on weekends and when he didn't have homework. Unironically, like
it's
that is the
it's that
craziest fucking
stuff.
moment.
The thing is, it's that stuff that's like, yeah, college is kind of a joke. Like this kid learned it all just by doing it in his free time and figuring it out.
Exactly. It's so crazy. Like it's so crazy how inventive the human mind is when you don't have to worry about like having a piece of paper like tell you, "Hey, you did good."
I love it so much, man. I love it. I need more. I need more of all of this.
Yeah, we need more. We
The
need more
movie,
Hobby. We need more Pavitsky. We need more Miguel. I need more Spot. I really need
and
more Spot.
God, and just all of the like the way they tackled the meta around Miles and the let's be honest, the kind of the racists in there that don't like
That
Miles.
was confirmed. That was legitimately confirmed. That like during
Like
an
they
interview.
literally said like their one of their mission statements for this movie too was they basically it wasn't targeting the races specifically because there are people that don't like Miles that don't like Miles as Spider-Man that aren't racist and are just like no I think Spider-Man should just be Peter Parker and that's it and they
Right,
just
right.
don't like any other version of the character which anyone who has that, I respect a bit more because I'm like, all right, you know, you're not racist. You're kind of dumb, but
But
you're not racist.
if
So,
it's just
like,
only Miles and not someone like Miguel, the
oh,
Mexican, it's
or if you don't hate Ben for that too, it's like
right.
this got to be a little
It's a
racially
little
motivated,
suspicious. And like I remember like the whole interview too, where they were like, "Did you create this Miguel's like motivation for the like as a meta commentary for the people who don't see Miles as Spider-Man?" And instantly went yes.
like that. Oh god, that is the best part. I remember seeing like some idiot quote tweeted that too, and it was like these people hate the fans. And I was like, "Ooh, yeah, you outed yourself, bro." Like,
Dude,
ooh,
like everything this movie did was for the fans. Like even they said in the interview, like the Spider-Man as an IP is something that's controlled by the fans, and we want the movie to show that he can't be controlled by anyone
and
other than like the actual writers, obviously. But still, like he
like
shouldn't be.
you also you can't look at this movie too and like all of the Spider-Man that they brought back. They have Toby and Andrew included in this. They have Spectacular Spider-Man included in this. They have the 90s shots from the 90s series included in this. They have Spider-Man Unlimited. They have the 60s show. They even have a brand new character from the comics right now. God, I'm trying to remember her name. That is a disabled Spider-Man spider person that uses crutches as their web shooters. That's a brand new character that was brought in to have a shot in the movie. They have Spider Rex in there. They love Spider-Man and they love the fans and they want to give them what they want.
Exactly. I don't
Like
like it's. I think, I think people just say that they hate the fans because it's proving a lot of what they're saying wrong about subjugating Spider-Man to a rule. And we've said this plenty of times in the podcast. There are no fucking rules in writing. You are an omnipotent god, and Spider-Man is a best example of people who think that there needs to be some form of rule towards
there's
writing Spider-Man.
there's no rule for what constitutes a Spider-Man there. You can go in and cook. There could be some bad ideas you could cook up, like the Confederate Spider-Man that I saw
Yeah,
rolling around.
but let's say like it's still your choice. You're still making that idea yourself. You're
Yeah,
not just
it's
copying and
like
pasting, like trying to hit it like a check marks. You know?
that's the unadvised idea, but you tried something.
Yeah, like
It's a lot in that regard where it's like you could do like you don't have to have the Uncle Ben death to make a Spider-Man. The main thing that connects all of these spider people together at the end of the day is trying to be responsible
right.
and living up to that and saving people. And that's what connects them to
Right.
Spider-Man.
I mean,
Like
it's even like through Miguel, like as antagonistic as he is throughout the movie, he still has that side of responsibility. It's just more so looking over the entire universe, like multiverse, instead of just trying to save that one person. Like he still has
exactly.
that sense of responsibility.
Like oh god, and I love how they do it because it's lines up perfectly with the it's not who wears the mask that matters, it's how you wear the mask that
Right.
matters.
Right.
And it's presenting two options that, yeah, they have a lot of merit to them, and this is working. But the only thing that separates them is the motivations going for it, where it's the people that aren't solely driven by their trauma and their massive amounts of guilt
Yeah.
are the people that are doing better because they want to help people because it's the right thing to do and it's the responsible thing to do.
Yeah, and
And like there's
that's
no
shown throughout like all three storylines of Gwen, Miles, and Miguel. Like Gwen is doing this so that she's doing this for like to live up to the heroes he sees in her dad, whereas Miles just wants to save people. Like he legitimately just wants to protect
well,
people.
and also like look at the way that it was handled with Gwen too, where the only reason she's really in the club is because she's just afraid to go deal with she's afraid to literally go resolve her trauma.
Right, right.
She's just afraid to go back and work
God,
things out with her
that is
dad.
so telling because like yeah, no, that's basically like how a lot of the Spider people in Spider Society is. It's just more like shown through Gwen's perspective. Is like she doesn't want to deal with that trauma, and that's like why the Spider Society like even exists, because they want to find some answer instead of like actually dealing with the problem.
But like literally I'm gonna say right now, if any of them had a decent therapist, this movie wouldn't have happened. Like,
yeah,
just go to therapy. Goddamn.
You probably shouldn't have another version of Spider-Man as your therapist.
Yeah, that's you need an outside view on this one. Like, and that is like one of the interesting things too. Is that we'll come back to on this point as well. The way Miguel is dealing with the club, in that the people that are in the know, there's like two separate versions of it. There's the insider version of the club, which is where everyone that was doing the intervention with Miles was, where they know all the details about canon events and all of that from Miguel. And then there's everybody else on the outside that is really just as like, oh, okay, here's the crew of spider people, and here's the and we're just gonna go clean up a bunch of messes in the multiverse that came around to my universe, and I'm Spider-Man, I'm gonna go help people. And that's the two different clubs, and we know those exist because Pav is part of that second club where he knows about the spider people and everyone coming through, but he doesn't know about the canon events. It's very telling when you look at Spectacular Spider-Man as well, because we see both another one of his canon events in George Stacy's death, and right after we see him, he's a young kid, and it's happened like anyone who's watched the show would know, and anyone just in general looking at Spider-Man would know that like if these people thought about it in a clear head, they wouldn't really be on the same side as Miguel.
Right.
They would all pretty much be against it. And we see this with Spectacular where, we see his canon event and he's like, yeah, it sucks, but it's the truth. And it's like, damn, if you've watched the show, that just hits even harder, because this kid was like the happiest Spider, like for a while he was the happiest Spider-Man and like the most mentally stable. And then he lost George Stacy, and now he's done. I'm like, no, my boy. Like, it's not like anyone throwing around character assassination is a little.
It's really not
a little nuts, because it's. I would not classify this as that, because the weirdest take I saw about this was all the trauma and guilt is not an excuse for all the spider people doing all of this. And I'm like, huh,
what?
Okay,
that's exactly why they're doing this.
I'm like,
huh?
Like, that's just the weirdest one, and like it fits so well with what Spider-Man is, because there's a million and one comics that you could go back to and look at as like, this is what happens to Peter a lot of time when he's at his worst, or his lowest is when he doesn't resolve this stuff. Like, even if you go back and read, which fun fact, they actually used the original comic for this in the movie. They mentioned ASM 120. I think what was it?
It was
No, it wasn't
ASM 90.
121. It was ASM 90.
Yeah, ASM 90.
Yeah, they reference ASM 90, which is the original death of George Stacy, and they used the original comic panel for it. And in that, in those stories, yeah, he loses them, but Peter constantly deals with it and gets to it. Like, even when Gwen dies in the original comics, he processes it. Granted, it takes him a second to process it because, girlfriend died.
Right.
But he processes it and moves on for the most part. Like, it really only comes back to haunt him in specific moments.
Yeah, like this is
but he moves
basically
on.
like this is basically like a what if they never move on. Like what if what if they just don't move on for whatever reason.
And it works. It works. It takes that meta narrative and puts it right on the fact of like what really makes Miles different in this instance, and what makes the rest of the Spider people that also side with him are they've kind of processed it and realized that, oh yeah, this is a little wrong because we don't actually know, and Miguel is basing this all off of his own experience, like very valid experience,
right,
but it's a little flawed.
Yeah, and it's like I even remember like Joss Keaton talking a little bit about like Spectacular Spider-Man's role and all this, and he even says like there's eventually going to be a time where like this version of Spider-Man is going to realize that something isn't right. Like, why am I doing this?
And I think sooner rather than later, it would have hit for a lot of them, and it's very telling too that I'll put it later. Like, after Miles escapes and Miguel goes to track him down, it's very telling that he doesn't bring anyone else except two other people with him, because Miguel and Gwen have a big spat at the end of like, hey, maybe he's right. How do you know that this is going to happen?
Right.
And Miguel doesn't have an answer. All he says is, do you really want to find out? And that's not a big show of confidence anymore. That's a big flaw.
Pretty much. And like this is in front of everybody. And
she gets sent back.
And it's like he even says like, we are the good guys. We are. And then
like,
nobody says a fucking thing.
And the only people he brings with him afterwards are Jess, who's been pretty much on his side. And I'll comment on this. A lot of people didn't really like Jessica Drew in this movie, but I think that was kind of purposeful on their part, because there's a big difference between how likable she is in the opening sequence with Gwen versus the next time we see her, where she's a lot more
this is a time skip too. Like this is months like after that.
And I'm willing to theorize, because we do get this line from her where when she reprimands Gwen for going to see Miles because Gwen wasn't supposed to do that, that like Gwen is like, oh, you've never cared for someone like that, and she's like, I did, but then I got over it. And it's like, wait, that's a big contrast from when you were lovingly talking about your husband in the beginning.
Yeah.
So what happened to the husband?
I'm assuming that was something that happened that made Jessica
also
like more subjectable to Miguel's side.
Also, I'm gonna ask. It's 6 months. She's pretty visibly pregnant in the first sequence.
Well, I don't know if it's like 6 months. They say a couple of months. Like,
I think it was. I think Gwen was there for 6 months.
I don't know actually, because like when Miles and Gwen are swinging, like Miles says like, how long have you been in the spy side? And she's like, oh, a couple months. Like, so we'll double check. I'm just, if it's 6 months, it raises my questions just a little bit of like, I wonder, did she lose the baby like from a separate reasons as well? Oh my god, dude, I don't want to think about that. I don't want to think.
I'm just curious. Like,
no,
first off, I mean,
I understand that, but
being Spider. We're gonna say being Spider-Woman probably does nothing for that baby, because again, she's enhanced. So like,
yeah.
The pregnancy built different. So Everybody relax.
No. See, See, it's fine for Peter B to do it, but Jessica can't do it because she's pregnant. Peter B has
And
a whole living baby.
And even then, Peter B, like, it's not character assassination for him to bring
Exactly. He's
Mayday along
legitimately
with
saying
him.
that he's having bad parenting.
Well, and also, this guy is the most capable Spider-Man out there because in the chase sequence with Miles, he's literally the only one that catches him with the baby strapped to his chest.
Exactly. And
like
God,
this man is the strongest.
I still can't believe that one person who said that Peter B is incapable in both movies. It looks like such a little bit. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Insanity. Absolutely. Because let's be honest, if Peter B was actually like trying to bring Miles in, Miles was toast.
Yeah, exactly. But he was trying to like actually talk to him.
He just wanted to talk to him.
He wanted the dad talk. He
And
wanted to hold the little baby.
So yeah, the whole like if you hate that Peter B was bringing his kid around to fight crime and everything, I think you hate fun a little bit because that's absolutely adorable to see this
This
dad bring his kid
in every single scene she's in, and like he's never like actually put in like any real danger because Peter B knows what the fuck he's doing. He's done like he's legitimately done this before. Like even Mary Jane's like, did you bring our baby to another fight?
Such a dad moment too. I'm just gonna take my kid out and do something reckless. Like
exactly.
I love him. And yeah, I like so that change with Jess is very apparent from the beginning to like because she's very sympathetic to Gwen in the beginning. And then she's a little more cold
right
in the later movies, and it's very curious. So I have a feeling that they'll expand more on it. They're gonna expand on like everything in this. And
this movie's gonna be 3 hours. I'm calling it now. This movie's gonna be like 3+ hours because, dude.
I hope. I want more. I don't care how long it is.
Like, I can't believe that ending.
Well, and yeah, to go back for that to finish that point quickly, like Miguel bringing Jess and Ben at the end. Ben is the other character who is his memories in the movie. They make it a point that his memories are not all there.
Right.
In this, like he's not all there, and it's very telling that Miguel chooses him to directly to come with. And I have a feeling that we'll get a bit more of Ben Reilly, that's as like more whole. Because also, you don't just get Andy Samberg for like a bit part.
Yeah.
Like you get him for more.
He's gonna get a little more beyond the Spider-Verse, but man, that fucking
that movie is gonna be so good. And all right, that ending. We go to Earth 42 because
that's the original.
All the way, all the way back in into the Spider-Verse. The spider that was probably like the biggest question actually that like went unanswered really for
Honestly,
a lot of people.
I might be stupid, but like I didn't really think about it. Like it's never something that crossed my mind.
Never a question that really needed to be answered. It was just a lot of people like where did they get the spider from? Even though like it glitched around so you could tell that okay, it wasn't from his universe. But a lot of people are like, what universe did it come from? Or like, what was the reason or whatever? And now this just gives us the little extra stuff of like, okay, the spider was brought through in a different collider experiment.
Yeah.
And not the same one. Like, it's just, that's it. It was just brought through in a different experiment. And now we have this whole other universe where Miles gets sent accidentally because he didn't know that the spider was from another universe and also didn't think that the machine wouldn't send him back to 1610 because it takes your DNA and matches it to the universe. He thought, oh, okay, I'm from 1610. It'll send me there. It did not send him to 1610 and sent him to Earth 42.
That was insane. Like twist, man, and seeing like Aaron again. I gotta say, I'm pissed because I saw a GIF of the Uncle Aaron reveal being rendered in 60 FPS. Fucking stop!
No, stop rendering this. Stop rendering animation in 60 frames.
A week out, and it was already being rendered in 60 FPS. Stop doing it. It looks ugly. I hate it. Everybody hates it. Do better.
Stop filming shit in 60 frames too. 60 frames only looks good in games, all right?
Exactly.
Like it does not look good on the TV. It looks very uncanny, and it hurts me because I'm like, that doesn't. No, that's not how it's supposed to look.
Right, but
No.
even still, like Aaron being alive when Jeff dies.
Jeff died. What's very interesting too is the spider was taken just before it bit someone. We're led to believe. Well, I think we're led to believe that it was Miles. It was going to originally bite because there's like, as we all know, Miles isn't an anomaly.
Yeah,
Like Miles Morales as Spider-Man isn't an anomaly in the multiverse. It's just that this specific version of Miles, because we saw Insomniac Peter, and we all know that there's a Miles in his universe because of the game. Which, side note, I think it's really funny that like it's a really funny visual in my head, like Insomniac Peter watching Miles run away from the entire club, and it's just that gif from or it's that moment from Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It's just looking strong, John. It's just Insomniac Peter watching Miles run away. Looking strong, Miles.
Just wait until like Insomniac Miles joins Miguel's side and tries to hunt him down, and then he has to avoid the triangle circle.
Dude, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I've been seeing a lot of people pit game Miles versus Spider-Verse Miles, and I'm like, why are y'all doing that to the Spider-Verse Miles? Like, dude, you pit any movie character up against a video game character, and they're gonna get their asses beat. Like,
yeah,
it's bad.
But like the craziest reveal is when, well, first of all, I legitimately thought that Aaron like fucking murdered Miles.
Oh, dude, when he punched him?
Yeah, I thought that was like legit blood. I was like, oh shit, he just fucking killed him.
That was the one hit in the movie where I was like, oh, like that hurt.
That was the one time I was like, did he actually just kill him? But then I was like, oh, it's just a beanbag. I was like, oh, don't fucking do that to me. But yeah, but the so craziest reveal was seeing Aaron goes, I'm not the Prowler, and then somehow it leading to Miles being the Prowler, and I'm really curious as to how all of that happened, because you can tell there's a little bit of resentment of Earth 42's Miles with his dad, where Miles tries to say like, our dad is going to die. It's like, no, your dad. So that's telling you that like, they have like some beef.
I'm very curious about this, and what we know is that we're gonna get some time in that universe too. So I'm wondering if we're going to see that universe's Peter Parker as well.
Probably,
because
actually, he might still be alive.
No, like, yeah, actually, I don't know. I think the spider was while Miles was in the shot, I think the spider might have been aiming to jump onto Peter. It was right. Well, we don't see him.
It looks like it's supposed to buy Miles, but fucking Lord and Miller know how to surprise the shit out of us.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that there's going to be some like really good interaction with Prowler Miles and like Spider-Man Miles about exactly what happened and why like Jeff is dead, while Aaron is almost like training Miles to be the Prowler. I think I'm not sure.
I don't know what the deal is, honestly. It might honestly just be Miles was like, all right, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. Like, it could be like the dark version, basically, of like, yo, my dad died and I didn't get because part of it too is the upbringing that each of the Spider people have that make them the different. Like, there's these values that get put in before as well. Like, I mean, even in the original one, it is the original origin for Spider-Man in the comics. Yeah, there is a bit of a through line of oh wait, actually no. There's more of a through line in that Peter learns the lesson of with great power comes great responsibility separately from Uncle Ben's teaching. Like, it was never something Uncle Ben spoke to him. It was something Peter learned on his own. But he also learns that, like, he gets that value. He always had those values instilled in him from Uncle Ben and Aunt May's upbringing. And so that's another thing that kind of goes in where Miles is in a tricky place, because in Spider-Verse, he had the right upbringing from his dad and from his mom, but he also really loved Uncle Aaron and really looked up to him.
Right.
And as much as we really like that version of Uncle Aaron, he was also a really bad dude that was going to kill a kid.
Yeah, like even though he
As
didn't know it was
Spider-Man?
his nephew, it still was a child. Like he knows it was a
Yeah.
child. Like
And he was still gunning after him and was willing to kill him. So, like that Uncle Aaron was not a good dude. He's just a better dude than we expected.
right.
At least more. He's put in a more favorable light than most versions of Aaron are. And it was nice. It just it goes into
God,
telling.
I still think about comic Aaron. Like, whew, that is
Yeah,
some
comic
hot-
Aaron's a piece of work.
Oh.
Comic Aaron is a big piece of work.
Like,
But
what am I wrong about? I could be misremembering, but I'm pretty sure that Miles was put in a situation where he had to kill Uncle Aaron, and then Uncle
Yeah.
Aaron's last words are, "You're just like me." Like,
yeah,
Jesus
like,
Christ. I'm glad they
Uncle-
went a little more passive with this character and
yeah,
everything else.
yeah, and so like Miles has this duality going for where like it's a very interesting thing where Uncle Aaron dies and where he still has his dad, where Miles still has his dad, and he's able to keep going in the right direction, like in the like what we consider to be the morally right direction as Spider-Man. But then in the universe where we can assume that it was basically the same, as at least for now, that's what we can assume because we have no other way of knowing.
Right.
The upbringing was basically the same, but this time it was Jeff. It was Jeff that died, and so Miles lost that side, and the only other male figure in his life was a bad dude.
Right, yeah, no, I can definitely see how that influenced him to become the Prowler, and I'm really curious as to how Aaron never actually became the Prowler, but Miles did.
I think it might be more. It's either Miles created it or Aaron was the Prowler, and then Miles took it up afterwards.
Okay,
Like,
yeah, I assume so, but honestly, like that, I'm gonna say it now. There's like no predicting this movie.
Oh god, dude, I have no like the only thing I feel comfortable in predicting for Beyond the Spider-Verse is that they will save Jeff.
Yeah, I think that is definitely going to be like a thing that is kind of guaranteed. They'd be really fucking ballsy if they didn't, but I know that. But I think doing that would just kill the whole point of the Across
like
Spider-Verse.
any one of Miles's family members, I think dying would just kind of really work against the
So
whole thing.
I don't think
And
they'll
also-
do that.
Well, and also, I don't want people to die in my superhero movies. I want my superhero to save the day. I don't want people to die in these stories. I want them to save the day. It doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter who is going in. If it's George Stacy that's there, if it's Gwen that Peter is trying to save, I want him to save her regardless because I want my superheroes to save them.
I know it's
Like-
almost like just you want your superheroes to succeed because they're fictional
And
characters that represent the best of us. It's fucking insane.
Exactly.
Crazy.
And if they
concept.
don't, I want it to be because it works for the story and not because this has to happen. And I think that's the great part of the meta stuff with the canon events is that it works way better when you don't know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But when you know it's going to happen, it doesn't hit as hard. And that's like, and I think that's kind of my issues a little bit with like the Amazing Spider-Man 2 in those movies where it's a little bit of the prequel issue that you have and you have to navigate where the main character, like, you look at something like Andor, Cassian can't die until Rogue One. And so you have to try and find a way to make this character and like make people feel fear for this character in any of his instances or any of the scenarios that he ends up in, because we know he can't die, but that also, if you play your cards right, that can be worse because they can't die, so they could experience something even worse.
Right, and that's one of the best quotes I heard from the director of Andor, where it's like we're all living in a prequel to a prequel. We're all supposed to die. Like that's not the point of prequels is not when we get to the end where they die, but how we build up to that moment.
Exactly, and that's the thing. Like that's the thing that I want. If there's a lesson to be learned from this movie, is I want that lesson of no. If you're doing a Spider-Man adaptation, you don't have to kill any of these characters. You can, you absolutely can, but make sure that your story builds up to it to make it satisfying in some way, and make it like if Gwen is supposed to die if you're writing a Spider-Man adaptation, like TV show, comic, whatever, a new version of Spider-Man, your own story, if you're writing that and you're using Gwen Stacy and you're like, okay, I want to kill her off, how do you build up to that and how do you make it happen at a point where it doesn't feel like, oh, okay, all right, sweet, Gwen died, cool, we're doing this.
I personally would just like not to have Gwen Stacy killed in a tragic accident, but that's just personally me.
Well, and that's the thing, is it's like the method as well. You don't have to do it in the exact same method. It's more the fact, I would say it's more the fact of like the circumstances around it, where the circumstances around Gwen's death initially was just kind of chance.
Yeah.
That Green Goblin stumbled onto Gwen. Like Green Goblin went to go kill Peter and found Gwen at his apartment and was like, all right, it's cool. 2 birds with 1 stone. Cool. And just worked from there. And that's the real like big tragedy of it. It was literally something that Peter could not control or do anything to prevent. It just happened because he got unlucky. And that's the more important thing, rather than we need to have Gwen Stacy be dropped by the Green Goblin on the bridge and have Peter Parker snap her neck trying to catch her with his webs.
Right.
Like, oh God, and I want that lesson to be learned, because the way they do commentary and meta commentary in this movie is so good.
Yeah, like not all meta commentary has to be is bad. Like not like something like identifying all meta commentary as bad is being very unfair, because it brings us back to that idea that there has to be a standard for writing, or there has to be like rules for these specific things, where meta commentary, yeah, you have like like an idea, but you can do whatever the fuck you want with it. And they show that here, where they use that meta commentary to not only service this story, but to continue off of what the last story had.
Exactly, and it's so good.
Yeah, Spiderverse is amazing, but
yeah,
you wanna know what time it is, Zero?
Oh boy,
it's time for a number score.
A number score? I don't do the number score, man.
This is my podcast. You're doing a number score. What would
I don't
you
do
rate
the
Across the Spiderverse?
I would rate Across the Spiderverse as a must-see if you like Spider-Man.
Damn it! I'm never gonna get to do number scores.
Well, never get me to do a number score. I don't do that.
It'll happen, but I think
never.
If I were to give it a number score, looking at this movie on its own, like standing on its own 2 feet, and not thinking about the fact that it's half of the story, because a lot of it is serviceable on its own. Like you can still have watch this movie on its own and still have a good time, because it's still like an amazing story. I think I would rate Across the Spiderverse a 10 out of 10. Like just unironically, it is.
I am glad you said that, because I would not have accepted any other lower number.
No, but like honestly, both Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse are 10 out of 10 for me, because they hit so many fucking emotions with the audience, and to me personally, and just seeing that much love and care being put into a movie for the purpose of doing something original and quite literally showing it across Spider-Verse that you can break the rules is so fucking, it's so well done. Like, it not only applies to Spider-Man, but it just applies to like writing in general, how you are allowed to break the rules, and it can lead to something really good if you are not forcing yourself to follow a set, like a checklist. And that's why Across Spider-Verse is undoubtedly a 10 out of 10 for me. And I'd imagine Beyond the Spider-Verse will be a 10 out of 10 too, because honestly, I was a little scared going to this movie the first time because of just the. I was scared of going to the movie because I didn't think like anything could top, like any anime movie could top something like Into the Spider-Verse, but they ended up doing it, and honestly, I think that they can top themselves a third time.
When I really want this movie I want Beyond to get delayed a little bit.
Okay,
because
guaranteed it will. Like,
I hope it gets delayed because I want that animation looking
right,
crisp. I don't want any cut corners for that. This deserves it.
I understand that that they were kind of working on both at the same time before like choosing to make it into like 2 films. So they still have like some work done on it, but the problem is that apparently the voice actors for Gwen Stacy has made no
Haley
voice
hasn't
lines.
recorded any lines.
Yeah, and it's also the fact that just confirming that Hobby will get much more of a character in Beyond the Spider-Verse, which I love.
We will be visiting his universe,
but it will definitely get delayed because I think it took like 4 years to animate Hobby in Across the Spider-Verse.
I love. I don't know how long it actually took. I just love that when they released how they animated him.
Yeah,
they were like, yeah, these were the rules that we set down for the animation, but like we broke those as often as possible. I'm like, Hobie would approve.
And it's not. It's good. Sometimes
Hobie would approve.
Is good. God, just listen to Hobie Brown. Listen to Hobie Brown a lot more. Just never call him Spider-Punk.
No, you had it right, Hobie.
I pronounce it Hobby. I don't know why, but
it's Hobie.
Is it really Hobie?
It is. You've been saying when you said it Hobby before, I was like, I'm just being quiet. It's his podcast. I'm not gonna do anything. It's fine. And then
excuse me,
said it Hobie there. You said it Hobie, and then you corrected yourself. And I was like, nope.
Look,
I'm jumping on this
ignorance, but yeah, Hobie Brown is so good. Just listen to what Hobie has to say throughout the entire movie, but never call him Spider-Punk. He hates it. That's a label. He doesn't like labels, but yeah, just go fucking like. I'm assuming you've seen it already now that you've seen it on the podcast, but go see it again. Just
go see it again.
Wait until it comes out available for purchase. Buy that shit in Blu-ray, 4K, HDR, whatever. Just get this a movie. It is so worth your time. It is the longest running Western animated film of all time. And it
needs the monies.
It still needs more. Like, you want more, even though this is so fucking long. But God,
give it the monies. Give it the monies.
Give it money. But is there anything you'd like to say, Zero, before we end it off?
Nope. We basically hit it right on the money.
Yeah, but thank you all so much for listening in. This is I would never shut up about this movie. But go see Across Spider-Verse. If you want to see The Flash, go ahead and do it. I'm probably not going to until it comes out on Max, but just go see it anyways, because you're allowed your own opinions. And if you like The Flash, that's absolutely fine. I shouldn't have to tell you that it's fine, though. You should know this, but all aside, but just be sure to subscribe, follow my channel, all that shit. And go check out Zeo's socials in the description below, because he has a Spider-Man screenplay that I like put in the description below of every podcast, and I want you all to read it because it's really good.
Oh, that's so nice. I'm working on a Jedi Survivor video that made Cabbage my editing habits hurt Cabbage, dude, personally.
I could
And I
not
love it.
stand.
It's good.
I could not stand you
No,
just
no, no, no,
hitting
no.
the space bar.
There's a
every
method to the
time.
madness. All right, bro. There's a method
There's
to
no
the
method
madness,
behind
bro.
just randomly
No, there's a
keep hitting the
method.
space
Hey,
bar.
listen. There's a method. Now, see, you understand actually why you understand Miles's perspective of Hobie right there, because it's just giving you a whole different thing. There's no consistency in how I edit videos. Sometimes it's really good, and then the other times it's just absolute ass.
I understand that, but goddamn it, learn your hotkeys. Anyways, I will see
No.
y'all in the next one. Take care.
Bye.